Hello and welcome to Manga 96, and today we're going to talk about One Piece. Today's topic will be the lazy one-legged ice guy. I'm of course talking about Kuzan, also known as Aokiji. This video will be in the same style like my Straw Hat discussion videos were. I will go over Kuzan's personality, his role in the story and his combat abilities. Before we start, here's a brief overview on who Kuzan is. Kuzan, better known by his former epithet Aokiji, is a former Marine Admiral and the first one to be revealed in the story. He was nominated by Sengoku for the position of Fleet Admiral. However, after losing the position to Sakazuki, he resigned from the Marines. He has currently affiliated himself with the Blackbeard Pirates for unknown reasons. He was a minor antagonist of the Long Creek Long Land arc, and along with the other Marines is one of the major antagonists of the Marineford arc. Kuzan is a very laid-back man, showing no shock or surprise from almost anything. His lack of interest and lazy justice, as he described his motto himself, often leads others to believe he cannot possibly be a Marine of such a high ranking, which causes them to underestimate him, making him all the more dangerous. It is unknown whether this is a facade or if he is genuinely lazy. However, if he deems a situation worthy, he will take action. During the Whitebeard War at Marineford, Aokiji grudgingly shredded his usual lax and friendly nature for a more ruthless and aggressive personality, repeatedly targeting Whitebeard himself with his Hie no Mi, managing to severely injure Diamond Jozo and generally hampering any attempts at rescue or escape from the invading pirate fleets. In accordance with the age difference between him and the other pre-time skip admirals, Kuzan does not refer to himself with washi, the I typical for older men, but the I more frequently used by younger men and teens. The rather rough aura altogether, his manners of speak is far more lax than Borsalino's, who's exceedingly polite, containing a lot of ellipsis and contradiction, yet lacking the root connotation of Sakazuki's speech and being far more calm. He tends to being addressing people with "excuse me" or "I hate to interrupt but." Aokiji is a compassionate man, helping Tonjin at Long Ring Long Land to cross the ocean with his ability and even letting Nico Robin escape the Buster Call on Ohara by providing a small boat while also a trail of ice for her to leave safely. Despite being a Marine, this compassion can even extend to pirates as long as their actions are mostly benevolent. He chooses not to arrest or kill Luffy because the young pirate had defeated Crocodile beforehand, thus saving Alabasta from the latter's plan. In contrast to his former colleague, Fleet Admiral Sakazuki, Kuzan sometimes tolerates compromises with pirates. He is disgusted by Sakazuki's brutal actions in dealing with situations, such as the Ohara incident, calling him a fool. While he follows lazy justice, he does understand the position his rank puts him in, and does not hesitate to do what is necessary for the needs of the Marines, even if reluctantly. He froze his former friend Jaguar D. Sol to death during the Ohara incident following this reasoning. As a Marine, Kuzan was a faithful follower of the world government. His motto used to be burning, fired up justice before switching to lazy justice. He always tried to follow orders, but sometimes found his own ideals in opposition to them. Even as Kuzan followed his orders, he would occasionally exhibit a sense of mercy and honor. Other world government officials did not. Like many characters in One Piece, for example Jaguar D. Sol and Smoker, after witnessing the senseless murder of many innocent people, Kuzan has come to realize the depths of which the world government will sink to accomplish their goals. His relaxed demeanor while performing the more macabre of his duties is similar to that of Borsalino, making him one of the more complicated characters in the series. Despite not really wanting the position of Fleet Admiral, he was even more opposed to Sakazuki getting the position due to the latter's immense ruthlessness, and dueled his fellow admiral rather than letting him take it. After being defeated, Kuzan chose to resign from the Marines rather than to stay under Sakazuki's command. Having left the Marines and realizing just how truly corrupt the world government had become after the time skip, Kuzan became a wanderer. He still cares for his friends, rescuing Smoker from Don Quixote do Flamingo's fury during a visit to Punk Hazard. However, Kuzan appears to be now involved in shady dealings with pirates, having joined forces with the Blackbeard pirates for unknown reasons. Doflamingo was convinced that Kuzan had something planned, while Smoker thought the same, as he was aware of Kuzan's involvement in the underworld. Kuzan reasoned Smoker that he had not changed at all, cryptically stating that he could still accomplish things as an independent observer. He has a recurring phrase, ara ara, so if he gender banned Aokiji, he would be an Onesan. According to Jinbei, Kuzan was very popular with the troops of any rank, which was why most flag officers favored him as a candidate for the position of Fleet Admiral. Kuzan has known Garp since his days before becoming an admiral, even owning him a debt or helping him sometime in the past. He also admired, maybe even idolized Garp for constantly refusing promotions, since the latter was already satisfied with the rank bestowed upon him since the time of Roger. However, with Luffy's choice of piracy, even the favor and admiration are not enough to let him spare Luffy's life during their encounter at Marineford, though whenever it was because he felt that Ace was too much of a risk to be left alive, because letting Luffy go publicly would get him into severe trouble, or because he has something personal against pirates is unknown. Kuzan detests fellow Admiral Sakazuki because the latter follows the policy of absolute justice to a deadly degree. This discourse dates back many years, as during the time when both were still vice admirals, Sakazuki killed innocent Ohara civilians to ensure that none of the archaeologists escaped the Buster Call, causing Kuzan to call him a fool for overdoing things. After Sengoku resigned, Admiral Aokiji was strongly opposed against Admiral Akainu becoming Fleet Admiral and fought him for that position, even though Kuzan himself originally had little interest in it. The battle lasted for 10 days, but Kuzan was defeated and he resigned from the Marines rather than to serve under Sakazuki. Nonetheless, he was not above telling Smoker to warn Akainu about the danger Doflamingo posed to the new Marine headquarters, showing a degree of concern for the well-being of the Marines, despite disagreeing with Akainu's idols. Kuzan shows some disappointment in the fact that Nico Robin had taken the path of piracy and had not changed her life for the better, although the government did have a bounty put on her, making it difficult to live a normal life. It is also revealed that Kuzan and Nico Robin share a past, as when he was a vice admiral he was forced to freeze and kill his good friend, former Vice Admiral Jaguar D. Sol, due to the latter refusing to participate in the Ohara massacre. As it happened, Sol was also Robin's best friend at the time, and it became a very traumatic moment for the little girl, who is fearful of Kuzan to this date. As a testament to the giant's friendship, Kuzan allowed Robin to escape from Ohara, but he warned her that should they ever cross paths again, he will be her enemy and he would attempt to arrest or even kill her. However, later he seemed to retain some concern for her well-being, as he was relieved to see her finally find a place to belong with the Straw Hat Pirates. The two did manage to encounter one another during the post-Enies Lobby celebrations, but Aokiji decided against action and even encouraged Robin to continue sailing with the Straw Hats, remarking they are unlike any other crew or organization that she joined in the past, and they truly understand the concept of friendship. Kuzan is shown to have a grudging respect for Luffy, even though he is a pirate. He immediately recognizes Luffy's leadership on the first encounter. Luffy chooses to settle things with him in a one-on-one duel, rather than jeopardizing the entire crew being wiped out by allowing them to get involved. he felt he owed Luffy for his defeat of Crocodile, but is also indebted to his grandfather Vice Admiral Garp for a yet unknown reason. Due to Kuzan's power, the fated conflict between him and the Straw Hats prompted Luffy to be less naive towards future conflicts. For this reason, Kuzan served as the starting point for Luffy to push his strength beyond his limits. Kuzan is shown to be impressed by Luffy's quick rise in infamy. Luffy and the Straw Hats escaped from the Marine's strongest battle force, Luffy being able to escape Impel Down, bringing several notorious convicts with him, and Luffy being able to penetrate Marine headquarters to ring the Oxbell. While an admiral, Kuzan held power over the thousand upon thousand of lower ranked Marines personnel. His status being just below Fleet Admiral Sengoku, he could command whole fleets, have a say on the overall strategy of the organization, and issue special orders, like the deployment of a buster call on any island he deemed a threat to delegate to lower status government agents the same privilege. With his resignation, of course came the forfeiture of any such powers. Nonetheless, having held such a high military office bears out Kuzan's leadership prowess, despite the outward indolence he showed in casual settings. Further attesting to his skills as a leader, plus his charisma, is the support Kuzan enjoyed from among subordinates ranks to become the next fleet admiral following the Summit War, as well as having Sengoku himself personally select him to be his successor, as opposed to Akino's backing coming mainly from the world government. Combat-wise, Kuzan is among the strongest characters to have appeared in the series, having been held with his fellow admirals as the greatest military power that the world government, and by extension Marines headquarters, could bring to bear. As one of the Marines' chiefest assets, his departure left a notably determined impact on their forces, as supported by the five elders calling him an enormous power in their dismay over Kuzan's affiliation with the Blackbeard pirates. Even during Kuzan's days as a vice admiral over 2 decades ago, his rank was already considered abnormal for someone of his rank, as illustrated by him taking down Jagger D. Sol, an ex-vice admiral and extremely powerful giant, with great ease in a mere 2 attacks, after his foe had fled at his mere sight. The first hint given to Kuzan's reputation was Nico Robin. Though arguably the most well composed of the Straw Hats, she was shown completely panicking and losing her grip in the Admiral's presence. This relating to her childhood trauma, despite Kuzan having spared her as a child. During his first encounter with the Straw Hats, Kuzan casually yet utterly overwhelmed their top 3 fighters in a single instance, followed by him incapacitating Robin without her able to retaliate in any measure, and subsequently dealing a swift but crushing defeat to Luffy in a duel that saw the rookie pirate completely at the Admiral's mercy, unable to lay so much as a scratch on him, though largely due to having no means to hurt the Admiral's Logia powers. In the Summit War, Kuzan's power was well exemplified against the Whitebeard pirates, with him engaging Whitebeard, the world's strongest pirate, head to head and holding his own, albeit briefly, until Jozo's interference. He would go on to battle Jozo, one of Whitebeard's most formidable men, and defeat him with relative ease upon exploiting an instant distraction of his foe, robbing him of an arm and incapacitating him for the total rest of the war. Ultimately, Kuzan himself emerged from the war almost entirely unscathed, with nothing but a small bruise to show for it. Against Akino, Kuzan would prove his then fellow admirals equal in strength. A one-on-one duel between the two saw them meeting one another blow for blow through most of it, such that it took 10 entire days to settle. Though Akino was the one to emerge victorious, both men sustained grievous injuries. Otherwise, Kuzan is shown to have enough navigation skill to be able to traverse the Grand Line seas using a simple bicycle. assisted by his powers, to create a track by which to cycle on the water. Kuzan ate the Hia Hia no Me, a Logia type Devil fruit that allows him to create, control and transform his body into ice. He can shape constructs out of ice and freeze his surroundings on a large scale. Even by Logia standards, this power has impressive potential. When used excessively for 10 days straight, it was able to permanently alter the very climate of half an island, rendering it a frozen, uninhabitable wasteland with constantly raging blizzards. Compared to most Logia users who when transformed can let physical attacks pass through their fluid bodies, Kuzan is more easily hit since ice is a solid element. However, he still goes unharmed by enemy attacks that are not infused with Haki. Instead of dissipating out of harm's way, his body shatters apart when struck, only to reform as effortlessly as any Logia user thereafter. In combat, Kuzan can form weaponry out of ice, primarily creating swords and spears that he can also make more elaborate constructions like a giant pheasant to send flying at enemies. Kuzan can quickly incapacitate enemies by freezing them solid upon physical contact or from a distance by spreading waves of ice, and many even encased opens in large spheres to ice to make escape even more difficult. Aside from potentially suffering dangerous degrees of frostbite and hypothermia, those frozen by Kuzan are left in a very fragile state as their bodies could be shattered by any kind of impact. However, a person can be freed from the ice if they are taught how to properly and carefully. Kuzan can spread his freezing over tremendous distances, casually icing over several square kilometers of ocean within seconds of dipping his hand in the water, or turning a pair of mountainous tsunamis into icebergs just as swiftly. Despite the speed at which Kuzan can flash freeze massive amounts of water, the ice he forms in the process tends to be extremely thick and able to persist for long periods of time, several days even. Kuzan can also bypass his weakness to water and falling therein by freezing it before he can sink below the surface. Not only does this keep him from drowning, it allows him to prevent enemies from escaping by sea by freezing their ship in place or render the sea a solid battleground for entire armies to fight on. With this, I covered everything I wanted about Kuzan in this video. And that will be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content as well as other manga content, and until next time, take care.